Right, so happy Chanukah. So when it comes to Chanukah, the main commandment we're trying to fulfill, the Talmud actually tells us, is the commandment to publicize the miracle. Publicize the miracle. As you can see, we've outdone ourselves this year. Decided to let all my neighbors know what's going on and where the light truly comes from. And I'm looking forward to all the complaints tomorrow morning. We'll see how that goes. But that's the main commandment the Talmud tells us, is that we have to publicize the miracle. Especially in a time like this where everywhere you go, you guys are representing people that follow Yeshua, that follow the nation of Israel and the God of Israel. People look at you funny all of a sudden because of what's going on in the world, right? It's difficult to go out there and say you stand with Israel when our government, when all the people around us are hearing the fake news and the spreading of all these stories. We're supposed to stand firm and publicize the miracle of what happened so many years ago. And it's a wonderful thing to remind him of, because back then already someone tried to come and wipe us out. And what happened? They themselves got wiped out, right? The only thing that's left over of the Greeks is the Greek restaurants. Nothing else, right? Just lucky. And we're thankful for that, by the way. But where are they today? They're not at all a people group that are so powerful. And in a time like this, where we're seeing all the nations turned against us, it's a wonderful reminder for them to look up here and see, wait a minute, someone else has tried this in the past, and they failed. So we're telling them, when you come against the God of Israel, you're coming against the people of Israel with a special might that you've never seen before. I don't know how many of you guys saw this week in the Turkish parliament what happened to that guy in the parliament that stood up to talk about Israel and shout bad about Israel. He put up a poster, an anti-Israel poster, and he said, Allah will judge Israel. And as soon as he said that, he had a heart attack and collapsed and died.
Wow.
In parliament. Right, so these lights are reminding us of the victories we have over our enemies. Now, one of the reasons why we have to publicize this miracle is because the Midrash Rabbah actually tells us, way back in the beginning in Genesis, when it tells us about the world being dark, formless and void, it tells us that was a prophecy about when the Greeks would try to destroy us and darken the light of the Torah. The Midrash Rabbah tells us that they tried to spread this idea throughout the world. It actually tells us that when we had Jewish messengers and merchants who would ride their ox, the ox drivers, by the way, it's a good Jewish surname, Oxdriver, the ox drivers who would take things out of Israel to the rest of the world, they forced them to engrave on the horns of their oxes, I have given up on the God of Israel.
Wow.
On every single one of our oxes, we had to engrave that on their horns. That's what the Midrash tells us. That's one of the reasons why we publicize this miracle. What was the whole point of that? Because they knew that whenever we go outside the land of Israel to do trade, this is the message people would see. And it would look as if God has given up on us as a people. It's the same as today, cars have signaging to advertise. I see a beautiful Papa Tails advertisement over there. That was the ancient version of how to do it. So they wanted people to see that we had given up on the Messiah. The idea of God sending us a Messiah and salvation. And this is something our commentator B'nai Yisachar comes across. He asked the question, why specifically did they want us to engrave that on the horn of the ox? Because what does the horn of the ox represent in Judaism? It was used specifically to anoint the kings of Israel, the kings of Judah. It was used to anoint David. It was used to anoint his son Solomon. So what's happening is the Greeks were trying to blot out the light of the Messiah. The belief that we had in a coming Redeemer. That's what they wanted to blot out when they made us engrave that on the writing of the horn. So that's what we're actually fighting against. And reminding ourselves on Chanukah, the victory over the idea that Messiah will not come and save us. We're actually celebrating the coming of Messiah on Chanukah. Now, in addition to that, of course, the idea of the ox, throughout the Midrash Rabbah, the ox is a symbol of the Mashiach ben Yosef. Right? The Midrash is everywhere, even with the tribe of Joseph as well. When the blessings are given by Jacob to the sons, the blessing for Joseph is that he would be like an ox. Same when Moses gives the blessings to the 12 tribes, that he's also the ox. So it's all about the idea of the Messiah coming. Now, that should be for us an interesting thing, because if you look at the world and the message of the Messiah over the last 2,000 years, what has happened to the Messiah? They've made him Greek. They've Hellenized him. It's literally the story of Chanukah. They've changed his name, now it's Jesus in the English or whatever language you've got. They've changed the way he looks like a Greek, he acts like a Greek, he teaches like a Greek, he philosophizes like a Greek, he's done away with the Torah, he's done away with the mitzvot, he doesn't wear tzitzis or yarmulke, none of these things. They've actually Hellenized the Messiah himself. That was the goal of the Greeks so many years ago. And we have a very important job to fix that problem. Of course, we know better. We know that Yeshua didn't go to Jerusalem in December for the Christmas parade of Santa Claus. He went there. What does John chapter 10 tell us? for the festival of dedication. Yeshua went to Jerusalem. New Testament tells us to celebrate Chanukah. Right? So Yeshua was this Torah observing Jew that we all know and love. And what did Yeshua teach us as his disciples? That we too should publicize the miracles of God. He taught this to us in his most famous teaching, the Sermon on the Mount. I know you're sitting here guys listening to the Sermon on the Roof. Right? On these rocks I will build my church. Okay. So what did Yeshua teach us in the Sermon on the Mount? Taught us the exact same idea. Listen to this. This is from Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 to 16. He says to his disciples, including you guys, you are the light of the world. A city that sits on the mountain will not be hidden, nor do people kindle a lamp just to put it under a bushel, but they kindle a lamp to put it up on a menorah, to illuminate all who are in the house. So also, here's the instruction Yeshua gives to us, shine your light before the sons of men. He's telling us to publicize God's miracles. That's the message of Chanukah. So that they may see your good deeds. So they may see your mitzvot, the commandments that you keep, and praise your Father who is in heaven. Yeshua teaches us the exact same commandment, which is the main commandment of Chanukah. To publicize the miracles. So as his disciples, we have to publicize the miracle and fight against the idea that the Greeks wanted to bring in about the Messiah not coming. And we're publicizing the miracle, saying that the Torah itself brings the light of the Mashiach to this world. Happy Chanukah!
Happy Chanukah!
Alright guys, we'll let that burn out and see how that goes. We can go inside, you guys can build your menorah and we can have a little party.